Hey everyone, did you know that there are some common problems that could be standing between you and significant wealth? These aren't your everyday mistakes, but deep-rooted issues most of us don't even realize we have. Stick around and let's uncover these 8 crucial problems you need to fix if you want to be rich. Remember, being rich isn't just about making money. It's about cultivating a mindset and habits that propel you forward. And trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to see things a bit differently. And hey, if you find value in what I'm saying, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to stay updated with our latest videos. 1. Limiting beliefs. First, let's get a grip on what limiting beliefs are. These are deeply ingrained notions or convictions that restrict us from pursuing greater possibilities. They're like silent scripts running in the background, dictating our actions and often going unquestioned. You might not even realize they're there, but they're powerful. A classic example: for the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. The issue isn't money itself, but an unhealthy obsession with it. But through generations, we've misquoted and internalized this, leaving many to subconsciously link wealth with immorality. Let's take another example. Have you ever heard someone say, "Rich people are just lucky"? This belief implies that wealth is just about chance and that effort, strategy, and persistence play no role. This can be a comforting narrative for those who don't want to take charge of their financial destinies. But as you and I know, it's hardly the full story. A fascinating study showed that individuals who held limiting beliefs about money were significantly less motivated to pursue financial goals. Think about that for a moment. Your internal narrative can genuinely dictate your external actions. But let's bring this even closer to home with a real-life example. Ever heard of Sarah Centrella? She was once a single mom on food stamps, grappling with the aftermath of a painful divorce. However, Sarah refused to let her circumstances dictate her future. She actively identified and rewrote her limiting beliefs around money, success, and self-worth. Fast forward to today, she's a best-selling author, motivational speaker, and coach, teaching others to do the same. Now that's the power of addressing those deep-seated beliefs. So think of a time when a voice in your head told you, "I can't afford this, I'm not good with money," or "I'll never be wealthy." Recognize that. That's a limiting belief in action. The trick is not just to identify it, but to challenge it. Why do you think you can't afford it? What can you learn to become better with money? Why do you believe wealth is out of reach? Now, I don't want this to be a one-way conversation. I want to hear from you. Drop in the comments below one limiting belief you've identified, and more importantly, how you plan to rewrite that script. 2. Fear of failure. This fear has halted dreams, stifled innovation, and even stopped the next big thing from ever beginning. But why? Let's unravel this. The fear of failure, or as the fancy folks call it, arachnophobia, isn't just about being scared of not succeeding. It's the fear of judgment, the fear of wasting time, and sometimes even the fear of our own potential. It's like the looming shadow, reminding us of all the what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. Sound familiar? I bet. You've probably heard stories of Thomas Edison's tenacity. He made 1,000 unsuccessful attempts at inventing the light bulb. When a reporter asked, "How did it feel to fail 1,000 times?" Edison replied, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps." Perspective, right? But let's bring it closer to our era. Ever used a little app called Instagram? Of course you have. Well, before Instagram became the sensation it is today, one of its co-founders, Kevin Systrom, had created a location-sharing app called Burb. Burn was, to put it mildly, a flop. But instead of ditching his dreams after this setback, Kevin took his learnings and, with a little pivot, transformed Burb into what we now know as Instagram. And the rest, as they say, is history. Now, I'm not saying you should aim to fail. But if you do face setbacks, instead of seeing them as these colossal roadblocks, view them as detours or pit stops. Remember J.K. Rowling? Before the world got immersed in the wizarding world of Harry Potter, Rowling faced multiple rejections from publishers. Imagine if she'd given up after the first, or fifth, or even the 10th rejection. Here's a fun exercise. Think of any wildly successful person you admire. Now, do a quick deep dive into their backstory. I'll bet my bottom dollar they faced failures, setbacks, and rejections. But they didn't stop, did they? And neither should you. 3. Living beyond your means. Firstly, what does it mean to live beyond your means? Simply put, it's when your outgoings surpass your income. It sounds straightforward, But with the glitz and glamour of consumerism and the subtle pressures of social media, it's easier than ever to fall into this trap. Picture this. You're scrolling through your favorite social platform, and there it is, a post from a friend with their brand new, shiny gadget or vacationing at some exotic locale. The FOMO hits hard. Before you know it, you're splurging on things you don't necessarily need or can't genuinely afford. Does this resonate? We've all been there. Take the story of Ronald Reed, for instance. A gas station attendant and janitor from Vermont, Ronald lived a modest life, wore secondhand clothes, and drove an old car. But when he passed away at 92, he left behind an estate worth over $8 million. How? He lived well below his means, saved diligently, and made wise investments. But let's also address the elephant in the room: the pressure to keep up appearances. In this age of influencers and lifestyle showcases, it's easy to feel like everyone's living a fairy tale life. But remember, social media is often a highlight reel. It's not always the full story. The friend with the latest gadgets, maybe they're neck deep in debt. That acquaintance vacationing every month. Perhaps they're living off credit. So, how do you resist the urge? 1. Budget. A budget isn't restrictive, it's freeing. It gives you control and a clear view of where your money's going. 2. Differentiate wants from needs. Yes, that new smartphone looks snazzy, but do you genuinely need it? Ask yourself this question before every big purchase. 3. Plan for splurges. We're human, and it's natural to want to treat ourselves. Plan for it. Save for that dream vacation or that luxury item. It'll be so much sweeter without the guilt or debt attached. 4. Educate yourself. There are countless resources out there, from blogs to podcasts, focused on financial wellness. Dive in. All right, story time. I once splurged on a designer jacket I saw a celebrity wear. I skipped meals to afford it. And guess what? I wore it maybe twice. Not my proudest moment, but a valuable lesson. Now it's your turn. Ever had a splurge that you later regretted? Or perhaps you've mastered the art of frugal living and have tips to share? Drop your stories and insights in the comments. Let's learn from each other and create a community of savvy spenders and savers. 4. Not investing in yourself. First off, when we think investment, what comes to mind? Stocks, real estate, cryptocurrencies? Sure, those are all valid. But there's one asset with limitless potential that often goes overlooked: you. When we talk about investing in ourselves, we aren't just referring to buying fancy clothes or splurging on spa days. It's about growth, knowledge, skills, and well-being. It's fueling your mind, body, and spirit in ways that bring tangible returns. Did you know that Bill Gates, despite his colossal success, dedicates 1 week every year to secluded think weeks? He spends this time away from daily distractions, deep diving into reading and contemplation. It's a way of recharging and gaining fresh perspectives. A perfect example of investing time in oneself. And remember, this investment doesn't have to be expensive. With the surge of online platforms, quality education has never been more accessible. Now, investing in yourself isn't just a solo journey. Surrounding yourself with the right mentors and networks can amplify your growth. 5. Surrounding yourself with the wrong crowd. Let's start with a fact many motivational speakers, from Jim Rohn to Tim Ferriss, often emphasize: you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Now, this isn't just a catchy phrase, it's rooted in some serious science. Our social connections influence our habits more than we think. This extends to things like happiness, health, and yes, even wealth. Think about it. If you're constantly around naysayers or procrastinators, it's going to be super challenging to break free from those patterns. Now let's unpack this with a relatable example. Ever been on a health kick, but your buddies just want to binge on junk food and laze around? It's tough, right? The pressure and temptation to revert can be overwhelming. Or consider being an entrepreneur surrounded by friends who don't understand the hustle and keep pushing you toward a more conventional path. It's draining. But it's not just about avoiding the wrong crowd. It's about actively seeking the right one. Surrounding yourself with mentors, individuals who challenge you, those who've walked the path you're embarking on, can drastically shift your trajectory. Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, 2 of the most successful individuals of our time, swear by the power of their friendship and mutual mentorship. They continuously learn from one another, despite being titans in their fields. Now, a quick note. This doesn't mean ditching old friends or cutting ties with family. It's about broadening your circle, consciously incorporating positive influences, and occasionally distancing yourself from consistent negativity or toxicity. Here's a little challenge. Reflect on the 5 people you interact with most. What are their predominant habits, mindsets, and attitudes? Are they growth-oriented? Do they challenge and support you? If the majority aren't aligned with where you want to head, it might be time to diversify your circle. I've been there. Early in my career, I was surrounded by peers who were content with the status quo. There was no drive to innovate or explore. Making the conscious decision to attend networking events, join workshops, and engage with industry leaders transformed not only my professional journey, but also my personal growth. 6. Lack of financial education. Why is financial literacy such a challenge? For starters, money for many is a taboo topic. Families often avoid it, schools may not prioritize it, and the result? A generation entering adulthood without the essential tools to navigate their financial world. But here's the thing. Ignorance isn't bliss when it comes to money matters. Let's break down a few key principles everyone should know. 1. Compounding interest. Famously dubbed the 8th wonder of the world by none other than Albert Einstein. It's the principle that makes your money grow over time. Whether you're saving or borrowing, understanding how compounding works can be a game changer. 2. Budgeting. Sounds basic, right? But you'd be surprised how many skip this step. Budgeting isn't about restriction. It's about empowerment and control. You can learn more about this in our channel. Just check the links in the description box. 3. Investment basics. From stocks and bonds to mutual funds and real estate. A rudimentary understanding can open doors to wealth building. 4. Credit and debt. Understanding the difference between good debt and bad debt and how to manage credit can save you from future financial pitfalls. Look at Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha. He started investing at the age of 11. While he's undoubtedly a genius, a part of his success is attributed to continuous learning and an insatiable appetite for knowledge. In numerous interviews, Buffett has emphasized the importance of reading and staying updated. And while we're on the topic of self-made successes, ever heard of Robert Kiyosaki? His book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, broke down complex financial principles into digestible lessons, emphasizing financial education's paramount importance. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's a goldmine of wisdom. 7. Not setting clear goals. It's fascinating how many of us spend more time planning our vacations than our financial futures. But why is that? Is it because thinking long-term feels overwhelming? Or maybe because we're unsure of where to start? Whatever the reason, having clarity is crucial. Now let's delve into why setting clear financial goals is essential. Direction. Think of your goals as your financial GPS. They guide your decisions, help you prioritize, and keep you on track. Motivation. Having a clear endgame can serve as a powerful motivator. When you're faced with financial temptations, reminding yourself of your bigger goals can keep you focused. Measurement. How do you know if you're progressing if you don't have benchmarks? Goals allow you to measure your success and adjust your strategies if needed. We've all heard of the SMART goal-setting method, where goals should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. It's a principle often taught in business schools, but applies beautifully to personal finance too. Let's say you aim to save $10,000 in the next 2 years for a dream vacation. Instead of vaguely saying, "I want to travel," you now have a clear target. Break it down further. That's about $417 a month, or roughly $14 a day. When you dissect a goal this way, it becomes more tangible and achievable. But here's where it gets even better. The power of compounding goals. Once you achieve one, the confidence and strategies you've gained set the foundation for bigger, loftier aspirations. It's like leveling up in a game. Each win propels you to the next. 8. Avoiding risk entirely. Now, before images of skydiving or swimming with sharks pop into your mind, we're talking financial risk here. While being reckless with your money is a no-go, clinging too tightly to the safety net can be just as limiting. Now, everyone's heard the age-old adage, no risk, no reward. It sounds cliche, but when it comes to your financial journey, this saying holds weight. Many of the world's most affluent individuals didn't get to where they are by playing it entirely safe. Take Elon Musk, for instance. After the sale of PayPal, Musk had close to $180 million. Instead of kicking back on a beach somewhere, he pumped almost all of his earnings into SpaceX and Tesla, even borrowing money at one point to keep the companies afloat. Fast forward to today, and his risk, driven by passion and research, has undeniably paid off. But here's the crucial aspect. Not all risks are created equal. The key lies in taking calculated risks. So, what's a calculated risk? Research. Before making a move, arm yourself with knowledge. Whether it's investing in stocks, starting a business, or buying property, understand the landscape. Risk-reward ratio. Assess the potential upside to the possible downside. If the potential loss far outweighs the possible gain, it's worth reconsidering. Intuition backed by facts. Gut feelings can be powerful, but they should be grounded in research and reality. Diversify. The age-old saying, "Don't put all your eggs in one basket," couldn't be truer. By diversifying your investments, you spread and, consequently, reduce potential risk. So don't fear risk. Respect it. Understand it. And when the time and conditions are right, embrace it. So there we have it, folks, 8 problems to address if you're on the path to wealth. The journey to financial success is filled with highs and lows, but with the right mindset and approach, you can navigate it effectively. If this video has given you a new perspective, don't forget to hit that like button. Until next time, keep pushing, keep growing, and let's get rich together.